Good afternoon, everyone. I am Neha Gupta from Shivway and your host for the day. I hope you all are doing great. I would like to welcome you for this amazing panel discussion event wherein we are going to talk about D2C landscape learning from 2022 and opportunities in 2023. Today's event is brought to you by Shivway, a shipping automation platform and awarded as Logistics Startup of the Year. Shipway has finally unveiled its one-stop solution for all the D2C brands, that is Shipway One, compact solutions of 5 different apps into single platform. Now brands can partner with Shipway One and leverage its plethora of post-purchase offerings such as courier aggregation, shipment intelligence, tracking, fraud detections, return and exchanges without having to offer different apps for different functions. At Shipway, our aim is to bring an entrepreneurial community some of the inspiring stories, expert advice, insights, latest trends, learning, and opportunities from D2C ecosystem. Now it's time to welcome our guest for today. We have invited yet another powerful entrepreneurs and growth experts from D2C ecosystem. Guys, we have with us Arjun Vaidya, founder at Dr. Vaidya and venture lead at World Invest. He is India's first Ayurvedic to be featured in the Forbes 30 under 30 Asia list and Business World 40 under 40 list. He is an active angel investor, venture capitalist, and mentor to brands in Indian startup ecosystem. Arjun repackaged the ancient Indian science of Ayurveda for modern consumers and created India's largest online Ayurveda brand, Dr. Vaidya. Arjun is an inspiring leader in a private equity D2C FMCG and startup ecosystem. He understands the value of creating a robust startup ecosystem for billions of people and it's ready to serve, solve, and speculate it in order to keep it growing. Outside work, he's a World Economic Forum global speaker, a mentor at AIM, and part of Brown's University Young Alumni Advisory Council. He also runs a podcast called Direct to a Billion Consumers on navigating India's complex and exciting FMCG ecosystem. A very warm welcome, Arjun.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Now we have with us Pritesh Asher, co-founder and CEO at Juicy Chemistry. Pritesh is co-founder and CEO of Juicy Chemistry and homegrown organic personal care brand. At Juicy Chemistry, Pritesh oversees production, supply chain management, and operations. A student of Chinmay International Residential School, Coimbatore, Pritesh pursued a bachelor's in business management at Griffith University, Australia, and later joined his family petrochemical business. Unfortunately, the business went under, and in 2014, Pritesh and Megha founded Juicy Chemistry. Pritesh is detail-oriented and problem solver, passionate, bringing about the change in beauty industry in India. As a leader, Pritesh recognized the importance of building a solid team and learnings from one failure. In fact, he often credits failures in his family business as having made him a better entrepreneur and leader. He was awarded as top 50 emerging beauty industry leaders by Europe India Beauty Summit 2019 and Business World Under 40. Welcome, Pritesh.
Thanks, Neha. Pleasure being here today. Thank you for having me.
Likewise. Guys, finally, we have Gurpreet Singh, co-founder at Brown Trade. He's a computer science engineer with an MBA in IT from Symbiosis College, Pune, and has over 12 years of experience in web industry. In his last job, Gurpreet was the CEO of Dot Ahead, now called Screen Root, a web agency in Goa. He built the team from scratch to about 15 professionals. He played an architect's role for key web initiatives with clients like Meruka, Kotek, Landmark Group Dubai, IDG India, and Sheikhan, among others. A very warm welcome, Gurpreet.
Thank you, Neha. I'm probably the only over 40 here.
Thank you all for joining us today. Really being a pleasure hosting you all. All right, guys, so fasten your seatbelts and let's start the session with a great energy note. So, first question of the session, I'm raising to you, Pritesh. Being an entrepreneur requires to surf through different turfs in one go. Please tell the viewers about your journey as an entrepreneur. What is the vision and purpose of your company, and how has Juicy Chemistry evolved as a brand since?
Thanks, Neha. my entrepreneurial journey has been quite a ride getting here so far. As you rightly mentioned, after coming back from my studies in Australia, I joined my family business, which was into manufacturing of industrial and automotive lubricants. We used to manufacture engine oils, gear oils, cutting oils, and so on, and supply to a lot of industries, including personal care industry. For the longest time, we used to manufacture petroleum jelly and so on and so forth. But as you mentioned in the introduction, that 2008 was not a very good year for us in terms of being in the I would say we were at the wrong place at the wrong time, and salvaging the business was after some time not a possibility anymore because of the current trends that we were facing in the industry. In 2012, I took about 3 years to wind up the business to make sure that everything was in line. And I was definitely looking at doing something. Once an entrepreneur, bug bit me. I didn't want to do anything else. I was always constantly looking out for something really challenging. And that's when the journey of Juicy Chemistry began with a simple visit to a nearby a mall for Sunday chores, and somebody tried to sell us a natural, quote unquote, organic product, which when I looked at the back of the ingredients was hardly natural. Forget about being organic. A lot of petrochemicals, a lot of colors, fragrances. I couldn't understand why this product was in this category in the first place. And I looked at Megha, who was suffering from PCOD or PCOS, and she was always trying to find natural alternatives to her situation in terms of recurring acne, dry skin, and so many other things that used to trouble her with the products that she was using. She was always finding natural alternatives. I looked at her and I said, probably one of the reasons why you're not looking at efficacy, or if you're not realizing the effects of these products, is because they are greenwashed to a certain extent, where they are not even natural and organic. So you're just probably finding another alternative to the existing problem that you're having. And I think that sort of triggered inquisitiveness in us, and try to find solutions for ourselves first. So we did a lot of research and understanding on these products, ingredients, physical and chemical properties. Reverse engineered a lot of formulations to understand that this needed to be changed in India, and the consumer deserved a lot better. At least the consumer first deserved to know what was there in the formulations in the first place. And thus began the journey of Juicy Chemistry, with 5,000 rupees in our pocket, with a 10 by 10 makeshift kitchen, which then eventually spanned out to what it is today. But obviously there has been phenomenal learnings for us in the past 8 years of our existence. And us being a Series A backed company by World Invest has taught us in the last 1.5 years a tremendous amount of things. The structure, the landscape has changed so much over the last 2 or 3 years. So it's been a phenomenal journey. Through the process, we realized that we are not just a skin and personal care company. We are actually a wellness company, because the consumers always came back to us and said, listen, you have one particular product, say for example a face care, but what about my hair care, right? Because if I'm looking to go organic, I'm actually making a lifestyle choice. And hence, with the consumer, we evolved by listening to them and trying to understand what their requirements were. And that's how we actually got into almost 8 categories in our Juicy Chemistry range. And we have a new baby that we've just given birth to in the name of Color Chemistry, which is our extension of our range into color cosmetics as well. So the journey has been phenomenal, because we've listened to the consumers over the years, and that's how my journey as an entrepreneur has spanned out. We look forward to what's in store for us in 2023, but phenomenal journey so far.
Oh, that's amazing, and all the best. So my next question to you, Arjun, we are aware of your contribution to the Ayurvedic ecosystem. Please walk us through your background and your entrepreneur journey. How does your work benefit the society?
Yeah, sure. I'll maybe talk a little bit about my background. Look, I come from a family of 150 years of Ayurveda legacy. My last name is Ayurvedic doctor. My grandfather, great grandfather were Ayurvedic doctors. They run a very successful Ayurvedic clinic. And I grew up with Ayurveda, actually. I suffered from juvenile bronchitis growing up. I grew up with pumps, nebulizers, inhalers, steroids. I couldn't play cricket growing up. I'm a huge cricket fan. My phone cover is the back of Sachin's jersey. And so my grandfather took me on this trajectory, and that made me feel like, asthma prevented me from having a normal childhood. And so I got an Ayurvedic treatment, and sort of 14 years of Ayurvedic treatment later, I was cured of asthma. That made me start believing in the science a little bit more. I went to the US for my undergrad, saw the move towards natural organic or yoga being repackaged. And then when I moved back to India and my Dada passed, I quit my job to take on the legacy and build an Ayurvedic product brand from his formulations and his clinic that makes the science appealing and accessible to modern consumers. That was the idea behind the brand and the business and what we started by doing. Eventually, we scaled to India's largest Ayurveda brand online, 5,000 orders a day, 2 million plus transacting customers. But I think the real value we created and the value we generated was that we took Ayurveda to 16,500 pin code or 60% of India with a free consultation. And so we increased the reach of the science to the digitally native consumer and also the consumer in Anantnag, Trichy, Muzaffarnagar, and Imphal who may not have access to a high quality Ayurvedic doctor or care at the touch of their fingertips. And I think if there was some value we created was that. As many people know, we eventually raised some money from RP Sanjeev Goenka Group, and last year in April sold the business to them. And now I have a new role as an investor and enabler to the ecosystem, and I'm enjoying doing that now.
Wow, that's really interesting. So moving on to you, Gurpreet, what inspired you to become an entrepreneur? How did you get the idea for your business? Also, our audience would love to know what kind of problem are you solving?
So I think what drove us all to become entrepreneurs, we can't really explain, but it is something inside you that that creative instinct that leads you to build something. We were me and my partner Piyush. He studied in the UK. He did his PhD in the UK, and he was while he was in college, he was selling stuff on eBay and Amazon over there, just to sort of make ends meet. And they encountered this problem. So he worked with me in my previous company for some years, and then we thought about why not solve this problem. And in fact, interesting story is that when we started Brown Tape in 2012, we were focusing on the UK market. So we in fact had a third partner who was from UK. We were trying to talk to customers, build a solution for UK. But then e-commerce in India grew at such a crazy pace that very soon, within about a year, we decided that India has to be the place where we focus. So, this is the time when eBay was still doing business in India. eBay was the leading marketplace. There was a marketplace called Traders. Amazon had not started in India yet. Flipkart was still not a marketplace. So, those kind of years. But we realized that anybody who's selling, any brand that is selling online will want to sell where the customers are. They will sell on Amazon, will set up a good business in India. Flipkart is a strong business. We did not foresee that eBay will flame out in India, but we thought eBay would also be there. So we thought that there'll be at least 4, 5, 6 channels that any brand would want to sell online, and they would need a solution, a multi-channel order management solution, inventory management solution. So that's what we started building back in 2012. And here we are. I mean, today, of course, multi-channel commerce is a problem that we continue to solve. It's not something that ceases to exist. New marketplaces come up. There is Meesho that has come up in the last few years. So it's an ever evolving space. So we continue to solve that. But about a year and a half or 2 years back, we have a partnership with a company called Genesis, which is a retail tech company. They have a very strong ERP and a POS. So we are building with them. So we've done sort of an equity partnership, and we are building something called as Genesis One, where any brand can have an ERP, POS, order management solutions, various other retail tech solutions under one roof. They don't need to have 2, 3 different solutions and worry about how they will integrate, and everyone starts finger pointing ki mera problem nahi hai, uska problem hai. So that is something that we are trying to solve with Genesis One. And of course, in the last couple of years, omni-channel has become a very key area of our focus, where brands want to sort of practice what I call as anywhere commerce, where the order can be placed anywhere, the return could come from anywhere, it could get shipped from, a part of the order could get shipped from your store in Kanpur, and the other part could get shipped from your warehouse in Gurgaon. So all of those use cases have to be enabled, and that's what we do with Brown Tape and Genesis One.
I completely agree. Since I was a part of traders marketing team, so I can see the kind of evolution from for overall e-commerce ecosystem from hybrid model to vertical model, then marketplaces, and now it's D2C. So it has evolved since then.
Yes.
Thank you all for sharing your entrepreneur journey with us, and moving on to our series of next questions. So, my next question is, what were the unique challenges faced by D2C industry in 2022? Any tips and suggestions to overcome them in 2023? So, Pritesh, we can start with this you.
I think if anything at all, I mean, last year has been a phenomenal year in terms of learnings alone. The landscape from 2022 to 2023 is turned completely upside down. I mean, Arjun here would be able to, sort of double down on that. And, because he's looking at it from a very different lens. We are looking at it from only one single brand perspective, but Arjun over here was probably better equipped to answer this. But what we are facing as a D2C brand is obviously there is a lot more competition out there. Even the incumbent offline players are fighting for a space online. And if you look at how D2C evolved, if you just take our example, right? We built product, we built facilities, we built nuances around D2C. Obviously, we did get quite a bit of tailwinds when we were in the peak of pandemic. But what happened post that was consumer went back to sort of shopping in traditional methods as well. And at the same time, because of the influx of the number of people wanting to show their products and services online, almost quadrupled. I would say it's a very conservative number, but it did sort of increase by multifold. So one of the biggest problems that the D2C brands have today is obviously acquiring a customer at a price point which makes sense across the balance sheet, right? I mean, that's one of the things that we're looking to solve for. But it's a problem that everybody is facing, and we all have to solve for it in terms of growing as a brand. Whilst it's also become very important to engage the consumer for a longer period of time, and not just sell a product or service, but really engage with their concerns that they are facing, and handhold them through those concerns, and really own the customer through their journey, through different parts of their journeys. And I think in 2022 and going into 2023, we realized that there is a specific requirement for personalization in the consumer space. So every consumer has a different way of solving the problem, and you will have to be ready for that personalization and solve that particular customer's problem. Because once you're acquired a customer, you want them to be as your consumer for the longest possible time, so that you can also benefit from the business that this consumer is generating on your platform. And you're also solving the problem for them for a longer period of time and owning this consumer. So I think these are some specific challenges. Whilst the ecosystem itself has grown multifold, although we are very optimistic on the future in terms of what's going to happen in 2023, because the online demand is going to still continue to be there. It's not going to go away anywhere. But the methods of engaging the consumer are completely different from 2022 to 2023 for sure.
Great. Arjun, we would love to hear your thoughts as well, Arjun.
Yeah, look, I was thinking about this actually a week ago, and I wrote a post on LinkedIn as well about sort of my predictions of where the world is going to go. So look, I think 2022 was a reality check for people like me. In 21, I had a conversation with Pritesh as well. I remember in October 21, And I told him that offline is dead. It's over. That game is done. It's over. And I drank the Kool-Aid and I started believing that all consumption would be online. I went back to my LinkedIn and even saw a post that I put saying, I buy every single thing online. Who else buys every single thing online, right? And I think 2022 by March, when the world opened, I think people like me got a rude awakening that, um, and not just people like me, even people like Mark Zuckerberg, right? He talked about it in his statement with the latest set of layoffs as well, that he overestimated the scale that e-commerce would reach, and I think we've got some reality check. Look, the good news is the following, right? We pre-pandemic had a market of e-commerce which was 1. In 2020 and 2021, it went to 10. It's recalibrated to 3, 4, or 5. And so we're definitely better off than we were pre-pandemic. Having said that, we have to face reality of the world and the projections of the business way we thought we would do business in 2021 may not actually play out in this manner. And so what's changed and what do we have to look forward to in 2022 or 2023, right? So I think the first thing we have to accept is that as you reach a certain amount of scale, you have to start thinking of omni-channel because offline consumption is real. And people like me have been proved wrong. And I'm the first person to admit it. The second thing we need to keep in mind is the number of brands has increased while the ad space remains the same and the number of customers has fallen in 21. And so competition is at an all-time high. This means two things. One, differentiate or die. If you're selling a Me Too product, there are hundreds of people selling the same product as you. There will be too much competition. You will be driven down in terms of price, in terms of margins, and be running a business that's not sustainable. The third thing would be that performance marketing alone, which is what I built my business on, is dead. If you build a brand solely on performance marketing, the efficacy of your performance will reduce, the ROIs will come down, and you will not be able to build a sustainable business. Number 4, I would say, is that, and with that, the performance marketing point, you would need to, every brand would need to start investing in content and community, right? To build the top of funnel, which will eventually improve the efficacy of your performance marketing ads. Number 4, I would say, is that, look, we've become used to quick delivery, right? I was reading Swiggy's report today that people were searching for petrol and underwear and even the word mommy on Swiggy Instamart, right? That's what the report said. So everyone wants quick delivery. And given that everybody wants quick delivery, for us as D2C brands, we have to think of fulfillment centers across the country and next day delivery in metros, at least, if not same day delivery in metros, because the longer your delivery, the longer your chance to RTO, right? I'll give you an example. We had Secret Santa in our office on Tuesday. And for the person I was supposed to buy a gift for, last Wednesday, I planned what I wanted to buy for that person, right? That's 6 days before. And I thought 6 days is enough. And I went to one brand and they said they delivered me anytime within 3 to 4 days. And they delivered to me yesterday. So I obviously canceled the order, right? And so 5-6 days delivery, which was okay back in the days when Amazon Prime said 3 days delivery and people paid for it in 2016-17, it was a game changer, right? 3 days delivery is long today in a metro area. So I think quicker delivery to reduce RTOs. That's number 4. And number 5, as CAC has increased and ROI has reduced, what's the secret sauce or superpower of D2C brands? It's repeats and retention. We have names, numbers, email addresses, phone numbers, and products bought, right? And addresses. We have to leverage this as much as possible to increase the repeat rates in our business. Repeat customers have lower customer acquisition costs, so that actually our economics work out. So those are my 5 sort of trends or predictions that I see for the world in 2023.
Awesome. And of course, the same day delivery and next day delivery is the upcoming, thing to grab in order to enhance your post-purchase customer experience. And that's why dark stores are there. Gurpreet, would you like to add on?
Yeah, so actually, what both these gentlemen have said, holds. See, the world saw COVID in 2020, 2021, and that period was actually very good for D2C brands. And, of course, we all say that COVID was good because a lot of people who had not experienced online also came online. Like, for example, my personal example is my parents never really bought online, but now because of COVID forced them to learn how to order on Swiggy, how to order on Amazon, how to order on various online sites. So that increased the base of customers that were there available to online brands. That was a good thing. And of course, there has been an undergoing trend of deep internet penetration in India. Recently, I took a car ride. We drove from Goa, where I live, to Udupi, which is about 300-400 kilometers away. So we passed a lot of rural areas, but my geo did not drop. We were streaming Spotify all through, so not even for 5 minutes was my Spotify down. So that kind of internet penetration is happening, and it's real in India. But one important point that actually led to the D2C sort of wave that happened in 2020 and 21 was that the ecosystem had developed. So what I call as X as a service. So 5 years, 6 years back, we had software as a service, or even 8 years back. But now we have courier as a service. Shipway is a great example. You don't need the headache of dealing with age-old courier companies. Just sign up with Shipway, and you can service any pin code in India. 20, 30 top courier providers are available to you. Even warehousing as a service is available. Manufacturing as a service is available. In fact, I have been getting some emails where somebody is offering a CFO as a service, that a great CFO will look at your business, and that's as a service. So that sort of opens up that you are a small business, you pay small for that, and then it sort of grows as you grow. So that has been a very key component that has led to this growth. And then, of course, 22, everyone has spoken about funding winter, acquiring customers getting more and more expensive. So I think what we have seen in the last few months, a few quarters maybe, is that a lot of brands are looking at unit economics very carefully. And when they're looking at unit economics, what will drive unit economics? One is automation. So whatever they were doing with 10 employees, they want to do with 2 employees. So of course, technology has to play a role over there. And then, also a high amount of precision in their software and processes, that, we cannot have inventory issues. Inventory has to be real time. Inventory has to be correct in all platforms. The processes have to be tight such that there is lesser pilferage. So, businesses are trying to get more and more precise, basically to drive unit economics. When investor dollars were there, people were mostly concerned about growth. Now they are also concerned about unit economics. So that's the trend that we are seeing. And also, with the ecosystem opening up, so many providers, X as a service, as I say, D2C brands will also face a lot of competition from traditional businesses. So Chroma is our client. They are doing omni-channel like anybody. Manyavar is our client. Very precise operations. You want to order a sherwani, and that sherwani, you have to say that it will come to you in 3 days, and it cannot come on the 4th day because that's when the event is. So Manyavar is delivering on that. So a lot of traditional brands will also be competition in the online space going forward.
Thank you so much for sharing your wonderful insights with us. Adding to your point, and my next question, I'm raising to you, Pradesh. While D2C brands are eyeing retail stores, existing retail players acquiring resources to build the online presence. And like Gurpreet said, an omni-channel model is undoubtedly in for growing popularity. So, why it has become crucial for D2C brands to offer an omni experience to establish brand recognition and loyalty to their customers?
Look, I think, Neha, it's quite simple, right? I mean, you have to change and you have to be present where the consumer is today, right? Like Arjun was mentioning, that there is some slight, almost an exhaustion of online purchase today. That pent up demand again, which was there for online during the COVID period, is now again gone back to offline to a certain extent. Whilst the quotient has moved upwards in terms of the number of people who are shopping online, but predominantly again business to business. If you consider juicy chemistry as a business today, we are into skin and personal care, where people want to come speak to a beauty advisor, understand their concerns, understand their skin type, touch and feel the product, see if it's going to suit them or not, understand the usage of the product in the first place, and then make a purchase decision. All this to do online on a very short attention span becomes extremely difficult, right? So whilst they are coming to offline, or to our stores, which we have now built over the years, we are seeing that not just that the consumer offtake is more in our stores, but also that the average order values of our customers in stores are quite high as well, because they are able to understand what they want to buy, which they are not able to understand what they want to choose online. They are able to speak to our beauty advisors and then take that decision based on the advice that is being given to them. So I think it's important to be where the consumer is today. It's simple as that, because if you're not, if you're out of sight, you're out of mind, right? And if you're out of mind, then the business goes to the people who are present where the consumer is present. So it's going to be important strategy to go forward any which ways. And we are seeing that unit economic wise as well, offline is making much more sense today, especially for a business like ours. I mean, I can't say this for everybody, but what we have seen over the last 8 to 12 months is that the balance sheet looks much better for us when it's offline, because the customer acquisition cost is lower, average order values are higher, and then once the consumer comes into the foray, has experienced the products, we are able to then push them products with our online community building and content driven pieces, where they can engage with us. They've already experienced the product, so they trust the brand much more now than they used to trust before trying out the product. So going forward, it's going to be a given that an omni-channel strategy is predominantly the only strategy that will work for brands and be present where the consumer is today.
Amazing insight, and I'm definitely going to resonate with the young entrepreneurs who are listening to us. Moving on to my next question, brand and companies have shifted from a product-centric to a customer-centric approach. Now their focus is to deliver meaningful and relevant experiences to their customers to boost loyalty, in turn overall revenue. So how AI will improve consumer behavior to drive experience in 2023? So we can start with you, Arjun.
Yeah, look, I think it's changing the game, right? Like I went and played around with ChatGPT a lot. I thought it was super cool. I created my avatar on Lensa, and some really cool photos came out of that. I think in marketing as well, there's lots that can be done with AI. I'm an angel investor in a company called rephrase.ai, where you can send personalized video communication to every single customer, which means that if Pritesh abandons a cart on Dr. Vedya's, I can actually come, or the brand ambassador can come and say, "Hi Pritesh, you abandoned something in your cart." Instead of sending an abandoned cart email or a WhatsApp, you actually send a video. I think things like this are just absolutely crazy, right? Like Byju's has run a campaign using this with Shah Rukh Khan. So has Cadbury. So I think that AI is the future. Hyper personalization will become extremely relevant in consumer brands. It will allow you to establish a deeper connect with the customer and also establish this thing called customer delight. Right? And I think that as the number of brands increase, our job is to build that customer delight, whether it's the unboxing experience, the dopamine secretion after consumption of product, the reorder experience, the connectedness a consumer feels to a brand. All of this will allow your brand to sort of cut through the clutter and really differentiate itself. So I think that AI can help us with all of this. Sorry, Neha, you were saying something?
No, I'm not saying. Please continue.
I think that's the challenge, right? That we have to sort of overcome now, which is that there's lots of brands, lots of competition, and how do we effectively use the tools in front of us to be able to cut through the clutter and differentiate. And I think AI can play a big role. What do you think, Neha?
Definitely, AI plays a critical role in terms of enhancing the customer experience, because you cannot do everything manually, and you need the technology support to overcome the manual operational challenges. Because if you're scaling, a lot of orders are coming, so you have to sync, you have to keep updated with the every information you are sharing with your customers, and with other team members also, or probably the partners. So would
Actually,
you
you know,
need that?
AI ML also has a lot of application on the backend side of how you manage things. So, choosing which is the right courier. I'm sure Shipways, uh, somewhere some nerd guy in Shipway is looking at that. We have seen things like I was looking at the API of one of the marketplaces I wouldn't name, but I saw that with the order, a field slipped into the AI which said RTO probability. So when the order is placed, based on the address, the shipping address, the phone number, maybe some previous history, maybe the product, and so on, they are trying to predict what is the RTO probability. Is this order going to get delivered, or is it going to get RTO'd? So they are trying to predict that. We are doing stuff like when you have a very popular SKU, at what level should you have sort of a low stock trigger? When you have a shared inventory in 5-6 channels, you always have the problem of real time, that I have one inventory and I publish it on Amazon and Flipkart and my own website, and then I get 2 orders within 1 second apart. So all that happens. And then when you have very high traffic SKUs, maybe low traffic trigger at 1 does not work, maybe it works at 5. So we have some ML which decides that, based on the history of the product. Maybe you're running a promotion, suddenly a low selling product becomes a high selling product because the promotion is very attractive. So those kind of things in the back end also, AI ML has a lot of role.
Thank you so much. So my next question, Amazon, Walmart, big basket of name anyone. The best brands in the world made it through their growth in last mile delivery. The future growth of every successful brand depends on how it shapes its last mile delivery based on the key trends. So what are the most important last mile delivery trends that will contribute to the growth in 2023 to the businesses? Anyone can join. Let's start.
I think Arjun already.
Yeah, I answered this, so I'm going to stay out of it.
Yeah, so I think I second with that, with Arjun's point that he made earlier as well. I think it's going to be one of the biggest game changers, and I think we at Juicy Chemistry have realized this, some time back, and obviously Purple is one of our investors as well. And what we are smartly doing is, using their warehousing facilities across India to reach the consumer within that 24-hour to 48-hour window, because they have about 8 to almost 9 warehouses now across. So what we are doing is, ensuring that, the consumer does not have to wait more than 48 hours, even if he's in a tier 2 or a tier 3 town. I think that's going to be one of the biggest enablers for growth in D2C segment. Obviously, seamless delivery experience still today is quite challenging for the consumers, because the addresses are somewhere, the delivery is happening somewhere, some of the RTOs are happening, and the consumer experience gets sort of distorted in the process. So I think whilst we've come a long way in terms of the last mile delivery from what it was when we started back in 2016 or 15 to what it is today, with brands like Shipway coming in and helping D2C brands solve this big problem that we were facing, and to today almost Gurpreet said, almost 30 to 40 good aggregators available for you to take care of the last mile delivery. Whilst all that is there, I think there is still a huge scope for improvement. I think the demand sort of surged too much during the COVID period, and then that sort of got everything haywire. But I think even at that front, brands are doing phenomenal job of making sure that the delivery experience is seamless for the consumer. So I think we have a long way to go. The infrastructure is there, and it's still building a robust structure into 2023, 24, and 25. So I think one of the biggest things would be to keep that experience seamless and as trouble-free as possible for the consumer.
Gurpreet, you would like to add on?
No, actually, Pritesh is very right. Jeff Bezos also said this at some point. He said that the customer is going to expect more at any given point. He said 10 years later, I don't expect the customers to say that I want fewer things. Don't want them cheaper. I don't want them faster. So this is going to continue. I also see that there is a lot of focus on precision, as I said. So, to give you an example, Amazon has this feature. Actually, a lot of sites have this feature where if your delivery address is an office, you can say that it's not open on Sundays or Saturdays. So it sounds like a very simple thing, but then your entire chain of technology products that you're using, from your website to your OMS to your logistics delivery system, need to sort of be in sync and able to pass this little bit of information to make the customer experience delightful. Or as I said, for Manyavar, it is very important that if you tell the customer that your delivery will happen 4 days later, it should happen 4 days later. Otherwise, your secret Santa is going to get missed. And Arjun, thank you for reminding that. I need to also do something about that. So, yeah, I think precision is getting more and more important, and somewhere intelligently choosing the right logistics network, logistics partner. If your order is from same city, you can use Dunzo and all to even give a 2-3 hour delivery to the customer. But otherwise, you have to choose a partner that has lowest error rate and the fastest, cheapest delivery. So yeah, intelligently deciding all that is quite important.
So adding on my next question, Gurpreet, how brands are taking the help of automation for scaling operations, leveraging store inventory and distribution all over the country for online and offline orders?
See, omni-channel is the answer for that. And omni-channel is a very fancy word, but if you sort of demystify it, the idea being that you need to have a store network. You or almost already have a store network, and there is product lying all across the country. So when an online order comes, why service it only from the warehouse? Service it from anywhere in the country. And it's you basically are unlocking a much bigger pile of inventory that is available online. So it's a very clear reason to go down that path. And of course, the other reasons being that the product is closer to the customer, it can reach the customer faster and possibly also cheaper. And you can enable save the sales scenarios and all. But the real problem is that that customer experience, or that delivery experience that you have in a warehouse should also percolate down to every store. So that has its own nuances. You need to have uh, every brand has fairly complex rules for so if an order comes online, how does that order, or which store does that order get allocated to? Every brand has complicated rules, and we are working closely. In fact, we've built a very complicated rule engine around this, which helps them do this. Then at store, you need to have the ability to accept, reject orders, and hop them to other stores, because actually, if in a store that last piece of inventory is in a customer's cart, the store is not going to tell the customer to give it back for some online order. So because the primary purpose of the store is to service the walk-in customer. And of course, having super simple user experience in the stores, all these things are very important. And once and based on every business, a beauty product business will have a slightly different nuance around it. uh, Electronics business like Chroma will have different nuances around it. So understanding those nuances and tailoring the solution to making omni-channel work, I think is very important.
Yeah, completely agree with you. So my next question to you, Arshun. As per the report, D2C brands are now wary of using venture capital funding to fuel their growth. They don't want to grow under the high pressure of investors who want large returns as fast as possible. So as per you, is taking VC money the right move for long-term success? If yes, what factors they need to consider for that?
Yeah, look, I think that there is no generalization here, right? It's two people in a room building a partnership. And so you got to be very well aware of what you're getting into in terms of what the expectation is from both parties in terms of growth, business plan, scope, future, etc. And since you're shareholders in the same business, you got to be on the same page. Right? As long as you're on the same page, whether it's an angel or a VC or a PE fund or a friends and family around that you're doing, all of it works out for the same, right? And so I think the mandate or the focus or the goals have now changed. Everyone's moved towards sustainability. People are asking questions like, hey, what's the gross margin? What's the customer acquisition cost? What's the lifetime value? What's the bottom line or EBITDA profile? Which is how it should be. We are building consumer brands, D2C brands with real P&Ls. And so I'm actually happy that the world has rationalized back into fundamentals because that's what our businesses should. Uh, but yes, there is no right or wrong in terms of taking capital. I believe capital and taking an investment is not a marriage, but it's a long-term relationship. You got to meet that person for breakfast, lunch, or dinner once a month for the next 5 to 7 years. So other than financially, you also got to get along, have the right vibe check, have the right goals, and be aligned. That's my view.
All right. And adding to that, the question also, what criteria venture capital firms are looking before investing in brands going global and offline?
Yeah, I said it right. We are now looking more at gross margin profile, customer acquisition costs, LTVs, repeat rates in businesses, bottom line profiles, size of market, TAM, team. These are the things I spend time.
Neha, you're on mute.
Sorry. A few questions has been asked by attendees, so I'm just picking few of them. So one of the attendee has asked, what marketing platforms and tools do you think will help D2C brands to engage and acquire customer and stay profitable at lower CAC? Pratish, we can start with you. You are on mute, Pratish.
Sorry. So I think it really depends on the kind of product that you're selling and what kind of content that you're driving out. I mean, if it's a long format content or a short format content, look, there is competition everywhere. Okay, if you look at Google today, if you look at Instagram, or if you look at Facebook as a complete platform on WhatsApp or even SMS today, there are brands. Like Arjun was saying that the consumer base has not increased so much as the brands have increased for a fight for this space. So the demand and supply is the demand is very high and the supply is very low, and hence the cost has gone up. And there is no denying that, and every single brand today will raise its hand and tell you that the cost of acquiring the customer has gone up. So I think it's more to do with the quality of content that you are actually putting out there to engage this consumer, get their attention for that that very 5 to 6 seconds that you have to hook that consumer and tell your story within that short period of time. So whilst there is no secret sauce for bringing down your customer acquisition costs, there are some things that you'll have to try and learn and unlearn, because this platform of performance marketing is very, very dynamic, right? What works today doesn't work tomorrow. And the day after tomorrow it might just again work, and in the day after that it might just be a completely flop idea that you did. So it's changing very dynamically, and it's important to understand what your audience is looking out for, right? If they are engaging more with you on a long format content, then that's where you need to acquire the customer. We constantly speak to our investors, and one of the things that will tell us is don't go and try to master all the platforms at one time. Try and see which platform actually works for you. If your customer is getting hooked with you and giving you enough and more time on YouTube as a channel, then go and do that till you sort of to a certain extent ace it, and then move on to a Facebook for that matter, or then move on to other things at Google. So I think there is no secret sauce to saying that I will reduce my customer acquisition cost or I will increase my AOV. I think every business is different, and the content that you're trying to create and engage the consumer, that's where you will have to do a lot of this A/B testing to ensure that you're constantly working on reducing the CAC. It's easier said than done, and I'll put my hand up and tell you that it's even today we struggle with this because it's such a dynamic platform today, right? And nothing is can be taken for granted. So you'll have to work on it on a constant basis. And see, eventually for us, we figured that, listen, the consumer is, whilst they're discovering us online, but they have the capability of, finding us offline and converting offline. So it really is a matter of you understanding what your consumer wants.
I think, I just like to add a little bit here that in this ever evolving battle of CAC and acquiring customers, I think no tool or no hack will help you as much. What will help you is having a unique story, unique point of view. If you have something original to say, people will listen wherever. They will listen on YouTube Shorts, they will listen on TikTok, they will listen wherever. But if you don't have that, whatever tools and hacks you may try, it's not going to work.
Would you like to add on?
I can't hear you.
I'm saying, would you like to add on to Gurpreet's point?
No, I think they've covered it.
All right. So answering my next question here live, please share some tips to build an engaged community. Arjun, Gurpreet.
Yeah, I have just one tip. On any content you create, ask yourself the question, is this value adding? And will I share this on my personal social media? If the answers are yes to those two questions, then it's relevant. If you're pushing your brand in every piece of content, no one's going to share it, like it, and engage with it.
Content is next thing for the brands, to create a unique story, like Gurpreet said. So, any tips for building an engaged community?
See, I think I'm not really an expert in this. I've never done this, but what comes to mind is what Tim Ferriss once said, that whenever he's producing content, whether he's writing a book or a blog post or whatever, he thinks of one person in his friend circle or whatever, and tries to tailor the message for that one person. That if I'm telling a story, it should sort of touch or impact that one person, and he doesn't think of 1,000 people. He just thinks of one person, and if he gets it right, probably there are about 10,000 people in the world or 20,000 people in the world who are like that. So then that story lands.
That's a great advice, Gurpreet. We'll be sure of incorporating that as well as we. It's a wonderful advice, because if you understand that one person's perspective, probably there will be hundreds, if not thousands, who will be in the same boat. So if that solves that person's query, it's more likely to solve many people's queries as well. That's a great way to approach it.
All right. So, as answering the question again, next question asked by the attendee: how do you think emerging D2C brands solve their logistical challenges?
By getting shipped.
Pritesh?
Yeah, I think. Look, I think it's a no-brainer there. So I'll double on that note. But it's simple, right? Be as close to the consumer as possible. Choose the delivery partners who have a proven record of the least problematic delivery solutions. Try and test it out for them, because what we realized in our past is that a certain delivery courier partner has strengths in certain regions and does not have strength in other regions. So it's a little bit of a trial and error, but look around, ask around, your fellow peers. There are wonderful groups that are available today in the D2C communities for regions. Ask them with their experience on how they have what experience they've had with these particular last mile delivery partners, and then take a call on that. And I think Shipway solves a lot of those problems by auto assigning couriers, and more often than not you'll find the solution there.
So Atul Bansal is asking any tips on creating opportunities to improve repeat customer rate. Pritesh, you are on mute.
Sorry, I was just sorry, I have a hard stop at 5, so sorry, can you please repeat that question?
Repeat customer, what are the some ideas for repeat customer, building repeat customer?
Well, I think we're right from the inception of Juicy Chemistry. I think one of the biggest focuses that we've always had, both me and Megha personally even look into it today, is making sure that the consumer is finding products that are helping them with their concerns. I think listening to the consumer today is one single most important thing that has kept our repeats high. Our repeats, to just give you a perspective, are in the upwards of 60% month on month, and that's because we've created a product first brand, right? We've focused, we've tweaked, we've made sure that we've always improving our product to make sure that the consumer is able to get the benefits from it. So even when when we are venturing into a new category, we ask ourselves, will the consumer benefit from this? What is the problem that we are actually solving for the consumer today? With our color chemistry line, one of the biggest problems that we were solving for was, we realized that whilst there was a lot of makeup that is available in the market, it's a very cluttered space out there today. One of the biggest problems, or a very wide gap market in the market, was that people were not able to find makeup that was loving them back. They love to use makeup, but there was no product that loved them back, because it caused a lot of collateral damage to the skin. So whilst we wanted to make sure that the product is in line with how they would expect a commercial product to be, but the formulation made sure that they didn't cause them long-term damage of skin, pigmentation in the skin, a lot of things. And this was certified organic. This is India's first certified organic makeup range. So it's important to engage the consumer with a product that is useful for them first of all, and they will more often than not come back to you. And whilst they will experiment, but they will see that the most benefit is available to the consumer with this product, and they'll always come back. And like Arjun was mentioning earlier, content personalization, keeping them engaged with your product, actually hand holding them through that journey is very important.
Amazing, and whatever insights have you shared, and definitely gonna confident about it that it's definitely gonna resonate with the audience. So all right guys, this brings us to the end of this wonderful session with our awesome panel experts. This was indeed a value packed session, although there are a lot more that we could have learned. Unfortunately, we are limited by time here. I hope you guys love this session. Once again, I would like to thanks to our awesome speakers and audience for taking out the time for this event. Pritesh and Gurpreet, would you like to say thanks and quick bye to our audience?
Thanks, Neha. Thank you for having me. It was a pleasure meeting. Gurpreet, we need to connect offline, but congratulations to all those who are hustling hard and making sure that they're adding value to this system, and we look forward to adding any help from our end as much as possible. Signing off, guys. Thank you so much.